Hey, I'm Kalen. Today I'm looking at Led Zeppelin 2. Led Zeppelin 2 is Led Zeppelin's second album, if you can believe it, released in October of 1969. It was a part of Led Zeppelin's quadrilogy, if I think that's a word, released from 1969 to 1971. Led Zeppelin, Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 3, and Led Zeppelin 4. But yeah, let's get into recording. In the first part of the recording, I'll just talk about the personnel, basically. You have Robert Plant on vocals, Jimmy Page on guitar, J.P. Jones on bass, and John Bonham on drums, and that's basically it. But yeah, now the actual recording. Recording sessions were held from early to mid-1969, and they were recorded in like 10 different studios throughout the US and the UK. A lot of the material on the album was like spun off from improvised instrumental sections that they did during shows. Like in most songs, it would be like the song and then just like a 15-minute guitar solo, and that's how like a majority of like the guitar riffs and songs came to be on this album. But yeah, that's kind of all I have for recording, because the Led Zeppelin like recording sessions and stuff aren't super eventful or interesting, or I know that much about, nor does like the internet. So yeah, might as well just hop right into the track by track break. Number one is Whole Lotta Love. So into Whole Lotta Love is sort of going to segue into a reoccurring theme throughout this video, which is stolen songs and copyright infringement. A lot of Led Zeppelin's discography, this album specifically, they kind of just renamed songs, and then like they renamed popular blues songs and then just didn't give any writing credits. So it's just a cover, but like they renamed it and just didn't give the credits, and this is the first case. The song isn't a cover. The like opening lines are completely ripped from a Willie Dixon song, and they did not give any credit to Willie Dixon at all until 1985 when he sued, and then of course they did. But for 16 years, there was just no writing credits to him. And this isn't even like the biggest one on the album. The biggest one on the album is in a couple songs, but yeah, that's just sort of an intro to what a good amount of the video is going to be about. The main riff from Whole Lotta Love is allegedly taken from a improv bit from a Zeppelin show in early 1969 of Dazed and Confused, sort of like a solo at the end, and then they took the riff from there and then put it in the song. The song was also released as a single in 1969, which is surprising because Led Zeppelin like rarely released singles. They released like 4 mainstream singles in their entire like discography. What Is and What Never Should Be is one of the first Led Zeppelin songs where Robert Plant is credited with writing one of the songs. Other than that, I don't really have that much commentary on it. It's not really my favorite on the album, personally. Next up is Lemon Song. Now, Lemon Song by far is the most like controversial writing song that I'll be talking about today. Basically, the Lemon Song is a cover of Killing Floor, a blues song by Howlin' Wolf. And this is a very established blues standard. I mean, it's like, there are a lot of covers of it. Jimi Hendrix covered it, Cream covered it, the Yardbirds even covered it when Jimmy Page was with the Yardbirds. And what Led Zeppelin did on this album is they renamed the song, they renamed Killing Floor to the Lemon Song, and they did not credit Howlin' Wolf at all. They did not credit him even once. It is credited to all 4 members of the band, and he does not have any writing credit. He received credits in later pressings from the late 70s, but all pressings from 1969, he was not credited at all. And he's not credited in this version. I don't know specifically when this one is from, but he is not listed as a writer. And don't get me wrong, it's a great cover of the song, but renaming the song entirely and then not crediting the original writer to the song that you're covering and renaming feels a little bit scummy. And I mean, it's a great cover. The solos, like I was talking about earlier, are taken from like their like improvised concert segments. But again, it just feels weird to rename a song that you're covering and then not give any writing credits at all. Anyway, next up is Thank You. It's the second song on the album now, half credited between Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. And JP Jones plays organ. Also not really one of my favorites. It's kind of boring, to be completely honest with you. But it's alright. Opening up side 2 is Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker's main riff, like a lot of main riffs on this album, was taken from an improvised solo in at the end of a Dazed and Confused performance in concert. And this song, it is one of my favorites on the album. And Eddie Van Halen even once said that this song, the solo in this song, was what sort of like mainly inspired him to start doing like the tapping style of playing guitar. Next up is Living Loving Maid. This is one of the band's shorter songs, and apparently like the band hated it. Like all of them were not a fan of this song. It was never once performed live, but as weird as it sounds, it's honestly one of my favorite songs on the album. I don't even know why. It's like something about it doesn't feel inherently Led Zeppelin about it, and I like it. I don't just like it because it doesn't sound like Led Zeppelin. That's just an observation. Okay, next up is Ramble On, aka the song that is in every other truck commercial ever. Ramble On is sort of like a folk rock thing inspired by the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien, which I'm sure I mentioned in my Led Zeppelin 4 video. Robert Plant was a big Tolkien fan. That's sort of what like Stairway to Heaven and Misty Mountain Opera based off of, and so is this. This is kind of the only like English folk one on this album. There are more on like every other album. This one seems to sort of skimp out on the English folk. Ramble On was never released as a single, but it has charted like multiple times. It's also been in a lot of truck commercials. Next up is Moby Dick, probably one of Led Zeppelin's most famous songs and guitar riffs. And this is the rare instance where the famous guitar riff was not taken from a live recording, but rather from, well, the riff was sort of created when Jimmy Page and John Bonham were just kind of fooling around during a BBC session, and they listened back to it and they were like, this is good, so they used it on this. It also has one of John Bonham's greatest, if not his greatest drum solos ever on this song. It's great. This is sort of the last copyright thing. The riff has been noted to sound like Bobby Parker's song Watch Your Step, but so was the Beatles song I Feel Fine, that opening riff. I think it's just a coincidence. It's a very sort of easy riff, so I think honestly both of them are just coincidences. I don't think either of them were taken from Watch Your Step. I think it's just like a descending and then ascending riff. It's fairly easy to make. Next up is Bring It On Home. Bring It On Home is a weird one where Bring It On Home is a Willie Dixon and Sonny Boy Williams song, and they weren't given any credit for it. But in the Led Zeppelin version, there are like some resemblances, but it's like mostly an original song other than like the intro and the outro and the name of the song. So I don't really know who to give credits to. Both of them do have writing credits on it, surprisingly, but yeah, it's an alright song. But yeah, now to my thoughts. My thoughts are that this is alright. This is pretty good. I think in my first Led Zeppelin video, which was like my first video to blow up, well, not blow up, but my first video to get like over 1,000 views, I said I'd like ranked all of like the quadrilogy, which at this point I've done all of them but Led Zeppelin 3. I put this one, I think I either put this one last or second to last, and then like following or preceding Led Zeppelin 3. I think it's alright. It has a few songs on here that like drag a little bit, but I think a decent majority of them are good. And I do think Lemon Song is a good song. I just think that it's a little bit sketchy. But yeah, that's the video. I'm pretty sure this one's going to be pretty short because it does not feel like I've been filming for a long time. But yeah, I'm Kale, and that's Michael Jordan. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye, bozos.